Yeah, we've been focusing on hips all week, so we're gonna sort of keep that theme, but we'll do it a little bit more mellow, a little bit more long holdy stuff today. So we're gonna lie down on our back, and we're gonna start with a little bit of movement, and then we're gonna do some stuff that we hold for a little bit of time. So it's all right, it's all right. Get whatever you need. And
switch this on.
Don't worry, I can always throw more props and stuff at you. So are you sure? Yeah. Well, if you want my fix. So yeah. I'll throw the cork bricks at you. It'll be fine. Okay. So if we lie on our back with our knees bent, and we're just gonna really ground through the pelvis, ground through the sacrum. Obviously, you can support under your head as well if you want to. That's fine. And we're just gonna start with some movement with our right leg. So at first, the left knee is going to stay then. And we're just going to lightly pick up that right knee into the chest, just doing this without your hands. And then we're going to open the right knee out to the right without rolling on the pelvis. And then we're going to come back the same way. So the knee comes up and into the chest, round, and then the foot comes down. So I just want you to repeat that twice more on that right leg. Take it up. Take it out. And take it in. So nice slow movement there. And just notice the point where your body does want to turn. If there's any clunky bits. And then we'll change sides when you've done that. Right side, there's no rush, just take your time as you go through it. Just each side, and then when you've done, we're all at slightly different times, so don't rush. I want you to straighten out the left leg, and then go back to that right leg, and do that same movement. See if it helps you to have that left leg straight, because sometimes it can be a little bit more of an anchor, or if it makes life more difficult, there's no right or wrong to this. And then obviously you'll repeat the same thing on the second side when you've done that side. And then when you've done those, if you need like a little shift or a little wiggle, that's fine. You're gonna bend the knees again and place the feet flat to the floor. Walk the feet a little closer. Start to drop the knees open as you connect the soles of the feet together. And we're going to find, just at first, without any support, your Baddha Konasana. If you're a little bit chilly, you can obviously pop a blanket on. And I just want you to see if you can sort of press the feet together. And you've got sort of, let's think about just the three areas of the feet that we've got here. So we've got the heel, which is quite easy to put a lot of force through the heel as you push the heels together. And then you've got the ball of the foot. Maybe you can connect and push through the ball of the foot a little bit harder. And then the same with the toes. Maybe you can connect. They're sort of like the weakest point of connection there. And it's okay if the knees lift slightly as you do this. And then is it possible to sort of put the same effort between each of those three areas? And then from that pressing of the feet, can you start to soften that effort as you release the knees? And I want you to notice if just in your body, if you were to try and relax here, which is a process, it might not happen immediately. Do your feet stay connected, or do they, do they separate a little bit? Does the big toe side of the foot sort of pull away? It's okay. Whatever happens, happens. And we're gonna spend a little bit of time here, just experiencing the sensations here. So you're very welcome to adjust your upper body. If you find it really is uncomfortable, then you can use your pillows or blocks or whatever you've got around you to take out some of the weight of the legs to support them. It's also quite nice if you feel drawn to it, if this is something that feels good in your body, that you could take the arms overhead, maybe holding opposite wrist or opposite elbow, just to add a little bit of length through the body. And we're just going to really witness that process. So you can be curious about where the sensation is in the body here. Maybe it's nowhere. Maybe this is really easy for your body. Maybe this is a natural shape. Maybe it's an inner thigh sensation, an outer hip sensation. And just notice, sort of on a scale of 1 to 10, the level of resistance that you have here. And I want to invite you to do this, but it might be something that causes you a little bit more stress. So if it does, ignore me. But what we can think about in some of these poses here is really slowing the breath down. Because there's no great demands on the body here in terms of oxygen need. You can really take your time with the breath. If it causes you stress, please don't, just stay with your breath, your natural breath. Just again, sort of as you're maybe slowing the breath right down, or maybe not, take in what's happening, what you feel. Is it different from when you started? Is it getting easier? Is it getting more difficult? We're only going to spend just another few seconds here, so not long. We're going to try the almost impossible, but not quite impossible. Okay, so if you've got your arms overhead, you can just bring the arms down beside you. We're going to keep the legs like this. You're going to lift the head and the chest, and you're going to pop yourself up onto your elbows. And then pop yourself up onto your hands. And you're going to see if you can bring yourself to seated in your Baddha Konasana. Ooh, not bad. It's not really almost impossible. So you might need to readjust in your seat. You might even need to sit on something. You can use your hands to sort of move your pelvis around. Do your legs feel happier here or less happy here? That's the question you have to ask. There's no wrong answer. There's no right answer. Okay, so we're just going to find a little isometric here, find a little pals and rails movement. So some people need a little extra for this because of arm length. So this is where you could sort of use bricks or pillows. But I want you to be able to connect your forearms or your elbows or your hands to the inside of the leg here. Okay, so if you find the hands is easier, that's fine. Or if you like the elbows, you can use the blocks. We're going to find our little stretch things here, yeah, so that we can push down. How's that? Is that all right? Yeah. Hips can be mighty. Okay. So just out of curiosity, if you were to apply a little bit of push, do you have the potential for a bit more movement there? Do you think there's bouncing, or have you hit hard edges? It's interesting, isn't it? There's a combination of both in the room here. We've got hard edges and we've got a little bit of bouncing. So if you've got some bouncing, then you know that there's a little bit of potential for a little bit more movement. If you're like, nothing's moving, we've hit hard edges, okay? And those hard edges could be connective tissue, could be bones, who knows, okay? So wherever your legs are is where we're going to keep them. We're going to keep them there. We're going to do 2 rounds of pals and rails here. So using your hands, or using your blocks, or using your elbows like I'm going to, I find it's easier to hold my feet or hold the ankles as we do this. So we're not trying, sorry, I should have said, if your legs are quite high and it's naturally that your hips are a little bit more like this, it might serve you to have something underneath the legs so that we can push down into them. If your legs are quite close to the floor, then you're going to be pushing into the floor. Okay, so first round is going to be, we've done these before, not for a while. I'm going to keep the legs where they are, but start to apply some downward pressure with the hands or the elbows. And as I do that, I'm going to apply some resistance back with the legs. So the legs are attempting to close, the arms are attempting to pull them over. So at first you should be like, oh yeah, there it is. Okay, so let's say we go for a 1 out of 10 or 10 out of 100. And then we go for a 2 in effort. And then we go 3. And then we go 4 and 5 and 6. This is getting hard now, isn't it? And 7 and 8. And your absolute maximum 9 to 10. And we're going to hold this for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Ooh, happy faces. 3, 2. Keep the legs here. As you get to 1, we'll relax the effort. The elbows can start to come away. And we'll just find our position here. Your legs might have done a little shift, okay? So now we're going to do the opposite. I'm going to be a little bit more upright. You might even have your hands behind you if that's better for your body. But I'm going to start to drive the legs down. So I'm sort of actively pushing the knees down. And again, if you find that it helps you to have something under the legs to push into, your blocks or whatever, then go for it. So it's going to be the same thing here. So imagine that underneath the parts of the legs that are touching the floor, there's some little scales that are witnessing how much you're pushing into them. Can you start to put a little more pressure in there? Don't use your hands for this, use your legs. A little more, a little more, a little more. What's the maximum you can push your legs into this? We're going to hold for 10, 9, 8, 7. This is the worst one, I think. 5, 4, 3, 2. Hold it. Relax the effort. The knees might ping up a little bit. Have a little breath. That's round 1. How was it? Are we alive? Okay. Yeah, we're going to go round 2. Okay, so we're going to do that whole sequence again. So we're doing the pales effort, which is where we lift the legs up, or progressive angle, and then the rails effort, which is our regressive angle. This is from FRC. We haven't done the FRC for a while. Okay, so you're in charge of your scale of 1 to 10, not me. Are you ready? Let's find the position, whether it's elbows, hands, or bricks. Wherever the legs are, we start that 1, pulling back with the legs, and 2, bit more for 3, build it for 4, 5, 6, 7, maximum effort coming up, 8, 9, we're at maximum now, push and pull for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, keep it, relax the effort, lifting up. Have your legs shifted a little bit? Yeah, they have. I can see it in the room, everyone's got a little wider. Okay, so we've got that second effort, our rails effort. Okay, again, if it's easier for you to lean back, please do. Having something under the legs, you might have shifted it slightly. We're going to find that pushing down now. So I'm going to start to drop the knees down. And I just want to increase the push. I want to work a little harder, to push a little more, to go for about 3 to 4 on the scale. And then 4 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8. And then when we get to like 9, it's really hard, and 10. And we're going to hold that max effort as hard as you can possibly push. It might make you shake for 10, 9, 8. There it is. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then we will relax and we will just, oh yeah, that was good. Okay, don't move, don't move, don't move. Just hold it, just, everyone's legs have got so much further. It's magic, magic trickery. Okay, then we can gently, like a little book that you're going to close. How do we feel? I feel all right. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Oh yeah, all of the stuff. Yeah, it's so different in everyone where you feel it. Some people are really inner thigh sensation. Some turn off my camera. Sorry, all I did was move it down and I seem to have turned it off. Okay, so again, this is an invitation to lean back nicer, or an invitation to sit upright, which is a little bit harder. So we'll just give the legs a little bit of a moment to sort of come into that straightened position. They've been bent for a little while now. It's like a bit, okay, that's good. And what I'm going to do is just slide the feet a little wider. And I'm going to sort of think about the knees and the toes as pointing up. So knees and toes are pointing up. And I'm going to start rotating. So I'm going to internally rotate. So my knees and toes start to turn in towards each other. So it's not just about your feet. And then I'm going to externally rotate. Okay, and I want you to see if you can fire this movement from right up in the hip joint. Okay, and I know this sounds a bit weird. If you sort of think about steering it from your bum, does that make sense? So if you get a little butt clench going on, it can sometimes wake up the stuff, because sometimes it gets a little driven from other places, or it comes from the feet, and we want this to come from sort of deep within there. So how does this feel? And it's not this just floopy stuff. We want the knees and the toes to turn at the same time. I'm going to think about that femur head, right, as being the cause of this movement. And again, the leaning back is slightly nicer. The upright and arms forward is just 10 million times more horrendous. Let's do one more each way. And then I'm going to keep the toes, the knees up, and just slide the legs back together. If you want to drop your hands behind you, please do. Okay, so we're going to do a little leg slide movement at first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide my right heel back by bending my right knee, just wherever it gets to. And then I'm going to drop the right knee open, just like we've just done. Oh, better no. The knee comes back, and then I'm going to slide or push the heel forwards, and we'll switch. Okay, so I want you to notice, usually when you get to this point, we sometimes do this and just pull in that last little bit, yeah? So you can't do that, you're not allowed, it's illegal. We drop it open and we take it back and we slide it forwards, okay? So second time, how much further could you draw that knee in or that heel in? If you want to lean back on your hands, you may, but if you want to reach your hands forward, then that's fine. So just trying to flex the knee a little bit more as we do this, really pulling the thigh in and then dropping out. Whatever it looks like, there's no problem. It gets a little spicier then, okay? So now I want you to repeat, but make your foot even lighter. Maybe you could even hover that foot off of the floor and it's not going to touch the floor at all. So even when I open the knee, my foot is hovering. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay.
That's not so easy.
It's quite amazing, isn't it? How much we rely on the floor. When my leg's hovering, it barely gets anywhere. But when I can push it in the floor, I can really access that. Yeah. So let's do it a couple more times. And those of you who fall into complete sadist category, lift the leg as high as you can, and then bend that knee in. Squeeze. The foot is as far away from the floor as you can as you externally rotate. Oh, that's fun, isn't it? And then when you bring it back as high as you can. Okay, let's try 2 rounds of that sort of maximum effort. This is my version of mellow. Okay, so one more round like that. Remember, hands back down is easier. Yeah. So, oh, I know, it makes it spicy nicely, isn't it? Okay, so now what we're going to do is, once we've come back to our little neutral, we can give it a little rub. Potentially where you might need a little bit of stuff. Okay, so I'm going to go with the right leg is remaining straight. I'm going to pop that left leg up wherever it lands. I'm going to let the foot land on the floor. Now, to make our life easier, we can take something like a brick or a pillow underneath that left knee. And we did these the other week where we might have had our knee, our leg a little across the body or a little open in order for us to steer ourselves into wherever our body feels more comfortable. Now, if you fall into, my hamstrings are so tight, yeah, which mine are pretty tight, you can grab something else to support, but we're going to find, you know, another sort of minute or two in this stretch. So try not to go completely all out. Okay, if you don't like this with your left leg, I know you don't say you like this, don't you? Yeah, then do that. That's fine. It's not really about the left leg here. Okay, so what angle does your leg like to be in? What rotation? Neutral, internal, external? Does it like to be in or out? Where does it give you the space to come forwards? And I want you to have the majority, if it's possible, of sensation in the right hamstrings. Okay, so it's nice to use the bolster. Yeah. Do you want a smaller brick?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they're quite chunky.
Yeah, I've got one.
This one's probably comfy in the forefront. So it's quite nice to have your head supported here, and we're just going to hold this. So we're going to, you know, if it works for you, that very, very, very slow breath. When I like to do a yin practice like once a week, sometimes more if I'm in the mood, and I hold my poses for about 3 minutes, and I have a little Tabata timer on my phone, so I do like a 3-minute hold in my yin poses, and I was playing with how slow can my breath be in those 3 minutes, like how much can I slow it down, and I managed to get it to 6 breaths. So it was like a whole inhalation and exhalation for a minute. So 30 seconds in, 30 seconds. Not that I suggest you do that today, but it's a really nice way of sort of going, it's only 3 breaths. So it's only, it's only a little bit of time there. So it doesn't matter what this looks like. It just matters that you have sensation in the hamstrings.
no sensation in
Where'd you have it?
at all.
Where do you have it?
In here.
Okay, so use one of those blocks to support that leg. That's it. And does that help? Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it can just distract you if that's the leg. It doesn't really matter what the left leg does. So there's ways you can make the hamstrings work a little harder. And thinking about, rather than trying to sort of pull your chest closer, is to stick your bum out more. So it's almost like you want to slide your right butt cheek back more. Does that make sense? Yeah. And then that should make it a little more hamstringy. Yeah. Yeah, just that tilt to the pelvis, like you're sticking out your bum. We're just coming up to the last few seconds here. So see if there's any more relaxation, or if it's just horrific, if you can pretend there's some release. Then slowly bring yourself up and out. If you've got something underneath your knee, you can take it out. Good. Now, this doesn't particularly matter what your left leg is doing here. It can stay like that. Okay. But I want you to bend that right knee and bring that right knee in towards the chest. Okay. You can have your hands slightly forwards or slightly behind. Slightly forwards is harder. Okay, on the floor. I want you to pick up that right knee into the chest. So if you're back here, you can lean into the hands. If you're forward, can you feel that? That's fun, isn't it? Okay. How close is your thigh to your chest, or your thigh to your belly, or whatever touches first? Might be a boob. Might be it's a boob for Nikki. Okay. So have a go. Extend. And bend. Whoa. We're going to do two more. Hands down. Extend. And bend. That's awful, isn't it? You're welcome. One more. Extend. Hold. Now, if your knee's a little bent, that's fine. You could either bring your hands to the back of your thigh to draw it in. Your hands to the back of your calf to draw it in. Okay? Or say this, it's going to hold the foot. Okay? Bring it in, bring it in, bring it in. Okay? So this can be fine with a bent leg. Just show you a bent leg version still, just like this. Okay? Now, you're doing a little pulling with the hands here, but a little lifting with the chest. I want you to keep your leg here, wherever it is. Back away with your hands, back away with your hands. Let go, keep your leg here for 3, 4, 2, 4, 1, and oh, you're welcome. You've got to do the whole thing on the other side now. You're welcome. Okay, so let's give us a little. I know. It's all good. So let's not worry about the position of the right leg. Some people, like I say, some people don't like this knee to the side thing, so it doesn't really matter. And this. I want this to be the nice bit, to just introduce this idea of shape to the body. So again, what rotation do you want your left leg in? What angle to the body do you want it in? You know, support yourself and find the hamstring. find the back of the leg here. Okay, so almost think about scooching your butt cheek back a little bit. And if you've got really, you know, we've got a really mixed sort of like body type in this class, which is amazing. We've got some people who are, you know, very, very bendy and don't feel too much going on there. So you might have to go a lot deeper. And we've got some people who just, you know, naturally are a little bit tighter. So things look a little different. But this is just about you. Finding that nice slow breath, maybe. Doesn't matter how high you are, how low you are. And sometimes sensations sort of drift in and out. Sometimes as something yields a little bit or gives, it switches the sensation to somewhere in the body. And I would say if you're quite far over your leg, you know, if you're sort of quite far forwards, then it's natural that the sensation is going to translate into the shoulders or the neck or the upper back a little bit. So that's okay, as long as you are still feeling something in the back of the leg or the back of the knee or wherever it is your hamstring feels tightest. And you might be making little subtle adjustments, or you might be staying very still. The last few moments. And then slowly start to unravel. Keeping that left leg forwards, take any props and stuff out of the way. If you want to adjust the right leg, no problem. So we're going to slide that left heel back. And you can either reach your hands forward, which is awful, or hands back, which is a little easier. We're going to pick it up and really, what have we got in the way this time? It's funny the difference, isn't it? Of like, definitely more weaker side. Not hit yet. Okay, so we're going to try and keep that effort and that force as we extend and bend. You're right. Cramp. Oh, good. Oh, cramp is good. Good. 2 more. Extend and bend. 1 more. Extend. And then you can either hold the leg extended as you take the hands to the back of the thigh. If it's better with a bent leg, you can have a bent leg here. Okay, so we're sort of pulling in with the hands, and then if it's better for you to go higher up the leg or to the foot, wherever you want to go, you can find it, but we're drawing it in. I'm still finding that length, it's fine. This ironically becomes a bit of a pause, doesn't it? This becomes the pause. Bent leg is fine, because it's still hip flexible. Now the leg's going to start to take over. Keep lifting the leg, but let go of the hands. Hold, reach. Keep pulling that leg in, keep pulling that leg in. 2, 1, and then let it go. Give a little rub. Oh, do it. Oh, all of the things. Yeah. I know. We ain't standing up today. It's fine. We're going to do the whole thing on the floor. Yeah. Okay. So jumpers are coming off though. Okay. So again, we're going to be a little bit cautious and a little bit kind to ourselves. So it might be easier if you guys turn to the long edge of the mat here for this one. So we'll take a little bear sit position. And again, with our bear sit, is sitting back on your hands easier than sitting upright. Yeah. Yeah, you can have loads of them. Loads of them. Yeah. 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 Okay, so bear sit, bent knees. Feet out to the side. And very similar to when we did our Baddha Konasana, okay, we can be leaning back as we do these, or we can be upright. We're going to drive the knees wide. So there's an effort to push the knees open. Excuse me. And we're keeping our bum quite rooted. And if it's easier to lean back, then please lean back. And then we're just going to move our right leg to internal rotation. Left leg still pressing open. And then take it back again. What? Do you not want to do that?
What? No, my leg doesn't.
I didn't know. Okay, we do it 3 times on that right leg. Yeah, go on, leg. Go on, leg. It's saying no. Okay. So we do 3 times right. And then we keep the right leg sort of pushing open as we come in. The back leg. Bum does not move. Your hips will thank you. They just won't thank you right now. Yeah? They'll thank you afterwards. It's always that. Exactly. All this imminent regret. Okay. So now, here's where things might look slightly different for everyone. If you consider yourself quite tight in this position, okay, I'm going to adjust my feet a little wider so that I'm more like, rather than trying to roll to the outer edge of the feet, I'm going to sort of point the knees and the toes straight up here, okay? And my effort here is, rather than rotating so that my little toe side goes down, hopefully this will make sense, I'm trying to scooch my heels wider. Does that make sense? By pushing them into the floor, by using the resistance of the floor. And you might find that your bum lifts up a little bit as you do that, okay? So if I just show you from the front, my intention is to keep the toes and the knees up, but just scooch the foot a little wider rather than rotate. Does that make sense? Yeah? Can you feel that? That's super fun, isn't it? Yeah? So even though they will want to rotate, it's almost like you want to push the heels. There it is, Nikki. That's the sensation. Now remember, you've got a scale. You've got a scale of 1 to 10. Yeah. Nikki's on 11. Okay, good. Now I want you to see in your body from here, what happens if you just push those heels forwards and extended the knees. Oh, cramp.
Feels better.
Yeah, exactly. Oh no, I've got a cramp. I've been cramping for days. Okay, good. And then we'll bend the knees back again. Sorry, I've got a really annoying crampy start. Blame it on my illness. Good. Okay, so we'll do that one more time. So pushing the heels wide. Again, you could be forwards, you could be back, it doesn't matter. Like you want to, I don't know, if you had a little bit of material between your feet and you wanted to stretch it along the floor. And then we'll extend. Now, if you are not a straight leg fan, I want you to come back to bent knees, and you can do this work with bent knees here. If you are a straight leg fan, but you need to lean back, that's easier. If you're a straight leg fan and you want to be up. Now I want you to try and scooch your heels wider here. Ridiculous cramp. Yeah? So same idea, as you push the heels down, the legs are trying to scooch a little wider. Now, this is your choice, okay? If you are a leaning back person, you're probably going to want to stay here. If you're a bent leg person, you can do this. Okay. I'm going to use my hands to scooch my hips forwards to widen the legs more. Yeah. And I can do that 1 or 2 or 3 times. Scooch my hips forwards to push the feet a little wider until you literally hit a wall. Have you hit a wall? Yeah? Yeah, good. And then we're just going to breathe into that wall there. Good. Breathe, breathe, breathe. This is fun, isn't it? So there's intention to still get the feet wider. The hips have scooched forward. This is actually really good. You can do this at home if you're bored, where you have your feet against the wall or your sofa and you sort of scooch, scooch, scooch. Yeah. But we'll keep it relatively nice as it's Barbara's birthday. Good. Keep the legs here, but relax the effort in the legs. Just let them. Just whatever angle your feet happen to flop to is just where your hips are right now. Okay, so whatever angle. Okay, so I'm just going to start to sway the chest side to side. Okay, and I'll just show you this in Berset. And I'll also show you this leaning back. Yeah, so it all works. It all works. And then we're going to try this with a little bit more intention. So we might want to slow this down a little tiny bit. Okay, as I come over to the right leg, I'm going to wake up that right leg and push it away, pushing the leg away with the strength of the leg. I'm really trying to drive the foot away and coming into that side bend. Pushing into that right leg. Now maybe your elbow to thigh, maybe your hand to floor, or maybe your shoulder. Anything you want to do with that left arm is up to you. It can come up, but really try and push the right leg away from you. Good. Breathe. Little bit of effort. If you're bear sitting, digging that heel down. Still works, still works. You might find the effort on the leg releases a little bit, that's fine. But we're going to hold for 5 more breaths. If you're doing those really slow breaths, then you'll be here a lot longer than someone who's rushing their way through the breath. But your 5 breaths, when you come up, you can relax that right leg on the way. You might need a little shimmy, a little something in the middle. How are we feeling? This is good, isn't it? Okay. So again, we're going to start that lean to the left. And as I do that, I'm going to either dig the foot into the floor if I'm bent leg, or I'm going to really drive the leg away. Almost like the weight of the body coming over is sort of helping to encourage that push of the leg away. So you can hold whatever you want to hold. You can do whatever you want with the top arm. It might just be you only want to come into that lean. If it's too strong to get the top arm over, have the hand to the hip. But keep that leg awake. Keep it pushing away. Find the breath. And even though the effort on the leg might ease up, just keep reminding yourself of that sort of pushing through the foot. Good. We're going to go 5 breaths. Oh, yes. Yes, that's it, Nikki. That's the one. Cramp down the right side of that. I know. Hold on. When you come back and out of this one, I'll let you move your legs. So you could just bring them. Oh. If if you did Wednesday as well, yeah, she's cramping. Yeah, if you did Wednesday, it's probably a little bit of leftover hip cramp in there from Wednesday. So that's cool. All right. Okay. I know. Okay, it's all right. It's all right. I've got one more thing, and then I'll let you do something else. Okay, I promise. I promise. So, if you hate wide-legged forward fold, then no, actually, I'm going to make you do it. No, you can't hate wide-legged forward fold. But the people at home, they get to do something a little bit different, a little bit nicer. Because if you're in a room where you've got a bed or the edge of a sofa or something like that, you can bring yourself, imagine that this is my sofa, okay? You can bring yourself up against it, and you can sort of lean forward and be a little bit higher up, okay? You can have bent legs while you do this, whatever. You guys don't get that luxury, yeah? So that's just quite a nice way of doing this. But if you want to build something out of your bolsters, you can use a couple of blocks. We're going to try this slowly, okay, and in your own time. And I want you to stay at each position for a breath or two or longer if you want to. Okay, so we did these the other day. So if I'm using a sofa, I'm going to try forehead. Then I'm going to try nose, and then chin, and then chest as the contact points. If you're coming forward to the bolster, it's the same thing. So it's forehead is one. I'm going really quickly. Nose, chin. Okay, just to get a little bit more length. Try each of those positions, because this forehead one is easy because we round the back. The nose we extend a little bit more. Yeah. But you want to try and bring those. So I just want you to repeat that. Maybe a breath or two each position. If you've got nothing in front of you, doesn't matter. If you can still sort of think about, if you have a target point on the floor, so I'm thinking about my forehead in line with the target. I think about my nose in line with the target. I think about my chin in line with the target. I think about my chin. Okay, so that's another way of doing this. But maybe pause just for a breath or two at each spot. And if you think that today nose is your maximum, then you stay at nose. If you get to chin, and you could go to chest, it just changes the dynamics of the pose a little bit. And again, this is either something that your body is, oh yeah, I like a wide angle forward bend, or something your body is like, I never, ever, ever want to do this ever again. Okay, so maybe we'll go through it for another round or two, but now the difference being, I want you to drive this movement from your legs. Trust me. So I'm sort of pushing my legs down, bring my nose down. I lift up, I push my legs down, bring my chin forward. So it's almost like your legs pull your body into. Does that make sense? Yeah. And see what a difference that makes. We'll just go 5 more breaths wherever you are. then when you're ready to come out.
That was good, wasn't it? You gather your legs back in.
And then what we're going to do is just, what's really nice, if you do have the bolster, in a minute, when we do come into Shavasana, you can hook your legs over the bolster and just lay like that. But before we get there, I want you to go for quite a deep twist. So whether you need your blocks underneath your knees or you're just going for the floor, I want you to, I'm going to roll on my side. My top hand is going to push, sorry, you see my knees. Top hand is going to push my top thigh down, almost like I'm trying to drag my legs this way. And then as I open the chest, I can use this lever of the legs. So if that's too strong for the floor being that far, then we just hook the legs onto something. So I'm pulling my legs around to the side that they're going and then turning my chest in that opposite way. And it's a really nice, juicy twist. Does that make sense? So yeah, you hook the bottom arm to your knees and then your top arm opens. And you can sort of pull your knees a little bit more round or pull your chest a little bit more round. Isn't it nice to have the legs together? That's what you have to think. At this point, my legs appreciate being together. And if you just lightly release the hands so that the arm can just release, the legs can relax. And you can take a very sort of lazy transition over to the second side. Switching the knees the other way, you can roll onto that side. You can just hook that bottom arm over the legs. And then as you turn the chest from that pulling of the legs, you might find one side's a little easier. Back off with that hand pulling the legs. Unravel yourself and you can come into that Shavasana. It's quite nice to take that waterfall pose with the knees resting over a pillow or the bolster, or even if you've got that sofa at home, you can put your heels over the edge of the sofa if you want to, laying on your back. And then you can just let it go. Bring yourself into that place where your legs completely can release. And just connecting to that the sort of second chakra, everything that's related to the pelvis and the hips, and that element of water. So you can think about the breath just washing through the legs. That sense of release, that sense of fluidity, that sense of softness coming back into the legs. And just think about your breath, think about your inhalations entering the body through the nose. Inhale down And then your exhalations happen from your pelvis out through the legs, through the soles of the feet. Just find that one-way direction of your breath. Your inhalations can gather anything they need to. Your exhalations can let it release out through the feet. And then let those inhalations start to deepen. You might want to have a little wiggle, a little stretch. And then you can take a little roll and transition to seated. Oh, don't stay.
I could just stay there.
Oh, yeah, okay. You stay for half an hour. That's fine. Well done. Namaste. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
You just leave me there.
Yeah, you can have a yoga dungeon.